if you can speak about the process in between from enlightenment to liberation. I know it doesn't really matter and things just unfold. There's nothing that we need to do about it, but just if you can share from your experience or from other experiences, if liberation is described as this state of flow, natural flow, how does it come about, like in this process, in this flowing,
part of the flow.
yeah, true. So is this flow something that comes more and more to one's life? It's just something which is ongoing, or I wonder if you can speak a little bit
We are using the word flowing.
about it. Yeah.
For example, some river is flowing. The water found here flows slowly and to reach somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
So that normally we speak the water flowing from one place to another. We are saying as flowing. But in the psychological world, no such thing happens. One feeling comes and flowing slowly to reach another place. That is not the case. Here, appearance and disappearance alone happens. So we name it as flowing, but it is strictly speaking, it is not flowing. Appearance and disappearance alone is the happening in our mind. So each and every moment, some new experience alone has to come. Old experience has to disappear. That is the nature of our mind. But when we struggle with the experience to retain or remove, then only we have some unnecessary circle, create some unnecessary circle with related to experience. Otherwise, it is very easy for us to be free from the experience. So the freedom is always there, it is natural. Each and every experience comes and disappears. That is a natural phenomenon of a mind. But this is liberation is this alone. The appearance and disappearance of the experience alone is the liberation. We should not expect some form of flowing nature. We may use the word flowing, but strictly speaking, it is not flowing. Appearance and disappearance. That's the nature of our mind. So, only because of the correct understanding, we are not giving any disturbance to the natural happening of our mind. Otherwise, we are creating some disturbance by selecting something. Even though you select something, it will going to disappear. We cannot retain anything. That is against the nature. Whatever comes, that has to disappear. That is the nature of our mind, the nature of our experience. But in spite of, we are creating unnecessary struggle within ourselves. So we are free from the unnecessary struggle. That is the enlightenment. And when we are necessarily struggling within ourselves, the natural happening of our mind, natural functioning of our mind is free. So the appearance and disappearance is freely happening. The freely happening of appearance and disappearance is known as the flowing of mind or liberation of mind. Actually, it is the natural state of our mind. There is no new creation of mind. So it is a natural happening. We are not creating liberation. It is that. We cannot disturb it.
Can I ask just about enlightenment?
Enlightenment is understanding.
Yeah, but I think I understand intellectually, definitely.
That is enough.
But there's still a sense of me understanding, and I see in you something different. No kind of me or whatever. So, what do you really mean by understanding? Because for you, from the outside, it seems a lot more profound, deeper, whatever.
So here, if you expect something related to the understanding, we give some expectation, we know the understanding is some expectation. Don't expect anything out of this understanding. Yeah. Because with the help of understanding, we are not going to do anything.
Right.
Simply understand we have no duty.
Because it already is as it is.
Yeah. So understanding, if normally when we understand something, we use the understanding to do something. Here there is nothing to do. So we simply keep everything go on its own way. So for that, this understanding helps. It will not take you to anywhere.
Right.
In the natural flow of the mind is what enlightenment is.
Yeah.
That understanding simply
No.
helps us not to interfere. That's all is it about understanding.
No, simply we have the understanding that we have no work. The matter is work. For example, we have parked our vehicle in front of our house. So we will sit here and we hear the horn sound of the bike, of your bike. And so you have to think somebody is mishandling the bike, and you go out from the house and see it is not your bike, some other bike is making the same sound like your bike, and you don't have any work. So
Okay, because this is kind of quite important question for me. Because the way you describe it, it sounds like a technique that you can kind of bring in and use in your daily life to kind of help to see it. And what I see in you is a kind of, you don't use it as a technique, it's just the way it is. So that there seems to be a kind of it seems to me, and I might be wrong, but a much deeper understanding, because we're sitting here with you. Do you know what I mean?
Many masters say they give some practice, techniques. So for preparatory stage, some technique is useful. And that you can make use of that. But afterwards, we have to understand no work is needed. When no work is needed, the very understanding itself is enough. But this understanding is only very superficial and very intellectual. There is no deeper level of understanding. But the only thing is that we should not get ourselves disturbed by the other thought, other school of thought, other philosophy. If somebody says, no, this is not good, you have to do something, you should understand very deeper. So there is no deeper. Whenever you want to understand very deeper, then you are creating more work again. So no work is needed. But we are ready to work.
Because to not work is so difficult.
We are not ready to accept there is no work.
Understanding. The last 2 years, I've worked hard to investigate whether there is an I, and this I controlling other parts of my mind. And I think in the last few days, it's, this is another expression. And I've heard you say that last year. And I go, oh yeah, I understand that. But it's only in the last few days I go, oh, there's no... So there is hard work, I think, to be done to get, to really convince and understand there's nothing to do. But it is still a superficial understanding, but it does take hard work. I think this is Sorry. For example, I went on a production, and this is good feedback. How is my mind? I can see when I'm walking, and I had the most calm production ever with this. Just whatever came when, and what was amazing was how anger came up, and usually that would be an hour of the production, and it went so quickly. I couldn't believe it. I thought, there must be more. And I started thinking there must be more anger. Where is the anger? Come on. It wasn't there. So sorry, my question is, what is an emotion? Is that for all emotions? You said it's in a fraction of a second. Is that the same for all emotion?
No, everything is the same. Because each and every, that is the nature of our mind. All emotions comes and disappears, and it may have some continuance. Repeatedly it may coming like that. But each and every moment, though it is a momentary one. Each and emotions are momentary. And the next moment the same emotion may come, but what else, what has come has to disappear instantly. So it may have some repetition, but at the same time, each whatever comes disappears in the next instance.
Right.
So that is the nature of emotion.
And is it physical? Does it matter? An emotion?
But we have some psychological and chemical reaction within the body, so we feel bodily, and so that is why we can say it as a physical, but actually it is psychological. But as it has some expression in the nervous system, and then we feel it some chemical change within our body, so we name it as a bodily experience, bodily expression.
So it goes from psychological to the body, or is it the body to the...
So we know only the bodily expression of everything. We associate every emotion with the bodily experience. Then only we feel it is an experience. It is an emotion.
And is it the mind creates the bodily sensation, or the bodily sensation?
So whatever everybody is created by the mind, without the help of the mind, nothing can be possible. Right? But at the same time, we have some bodily experience, some chemical changes, some vibration in the nervous system. Then only you can feel something. If you don't have any body, or if you don't have any activation in the nervous system, you won't have any feeling. You won't have any emotion.
Right.
So the body must help to give some emotion.
In my experience, it's a little bit. You said emotion is in this moment, and the next moment it's gone already.
Yeah.
But how I experience it, at least physically, it's like more of you throw a stone to the water and there are ripples afterwards. So it can continue a little bit more, like having a gong, and then the gong sound is still there even after. So even though maybe the emotion itself is just instant, there's seems to be
Psychologically, it disappears very quickly, but if physically, it may take some little more time.
Yes.
Because we have some physical experience, also some bodily experience, some chemical change, some vibration in the nervous system.
Yes.
So when it is transformed to the physical state, it may take some more moments for the disappearance. But psychologically, it is movement very quick. The disappearance is very quick, but it is not so quick when it is related, expressed in the bodily experience.
Yeah.
And get repetitive when we consciously think about it and give our attention to it. Is that how it functions again? when we consciously think about it, it becomes stronger and it becomes more repetitive and it starts expressing itself more and more in the body. It brings lots of chemical changes in the body. Then it becomes difficult to handle it. How to go about it?
So, all emotions comes with related to the situation. So the situation also takes some role. So how we take the situation is also we consider that into account. For example, you are returning from some faraway country, and you brought some flower vase. It's a glassware, and you place the glassware in the teapot like this, and the entire hall is very beautiful by placing the glassware here. And one fine morning, your son, with the age of 4 or 3 or 4, pulled down the glassware and broken. So immediately you had some anger, and you because you keep it very precisely, and it was broken down by your son, and you are get angry, and instantly you give a blow to your boy. But at the same time, similarly, when the situation is there, but your close relative coming to your house with such kind of small boy, the same, this boy also did the same thing by drawing down the vase and broken down. So on seeing it, you got flare up, but at the same time, you won't beat the boy. Here, what is the difference between the two? So this matter is same. The flower vase, the small boy has broken down the flower vase. On the first instance, your son has did the same, and the next instance, some relative boy has did the same. But you will not beat the relative boy, and you will pat him on the don't worry, it doesn't matter, we can purchase another one, don't worry, you can say like this. Here, in both the cases, the emotions comes instantly, without your knowledge, the emotions comes, the anger comes. But in the first instance, you justify the anger and take the anger in your hand and express it to your son, because you have some duty. You find some duty to correct your son. So you take the anger in your hand and correct the son and express your anger here. But in the next case, you have no necessity to correct the related boy. You have to protect, in other words, you have to safeguard the boy. You have to give him convenience to the
comfort
in your house. So you are not taking the emotion in your hand. And instead of, as you have not taken the emotion in your hand, the emotion has gone away. So in the first instance, you take the emotion in your hand and express. So in one other circumstances, you are working in an office and you have a boss. And the boss has did a wrong, but he blamed you for his wrong. But actually the wrong has committed by the boss, but he blamed you as if you have committed the wrong. When at once you got flared up and you got anger upon the boss. So you justify the anger. How dare you have to blame like this, and you immediately take the anger in your hand and want to express it towards the boss. But you cannot express it. If you express it, you will have to get some adverse effect through that expression. So then in that case alone, you suppress the anger. So in the first instance, you take the anger and you express. In the second instance, you do not take the anger and the anger disappears. But in the third instance, you took the anger in your hand, but you are not able to express it. So whenever you are not able to express it, then only you suppress the anger. So, suppression happens only when you take the anger in your hand. So here the three stages, those emotions are dictated or dealt with related to the circumstances. So the circumstances have some role to deal with the emotions. The emotion itself is not good or bad. It comes and disappears naturally. But whenever you are, sometimes we justify the anger, sometimes we are not justify the anger. When you do not justify the anger, it will go away naturally. The first instance and the last instance, we justify the anger and we take the anger in our hand. In the first instance, we express the anger. But in the last instance, you do not express the anger, but you suppress the anger. So here, but in the second instance alone, you do not justify the anger. When you do not justify the anger, it will go. But that is the thing. So whatever we are having as the emotion, if you do not do anything related to the emotion, it will go away naturally. So but related to the circumstances. But in the circumstances, you will have to behave according to the circumstances. But related to the emotion is itself, there is no necessity to.
There is nothing to be done.
But in the case of the liberated person, because he had understood properly, so normally he will mostly he will behave like the second situation. He will not bother about the emotion. But at the same time, even in the case of son or even in the case of the boss itself, he will follow the second situation. But in that situation, sometimes he may think making use of anger alone is good. Then only he can willfully will take in possession of the anger and he will express.
So in that situation only you told that with regard to the external world, the intellect should lead and emotions should follow. If the intellect clearly understands that in this particular situation some amount of anger needs to be expressed, then based on the vision of the intellect, the anger will come and help us to deal effectively with the situation.
So it's the mistake that we make, calling it my emotion or my thought. We get involved with it because we think it's happening to us, but the thoughts and the emotions are just as no different really from the noise outside or anything external.
Externally, some situation is there and we have some emotions psychologically. And what do you mean to say?
What I mean to say is that the way that our thoughts and emotions arise are as much beyond our control as somebody kind of outside honking a horn, or because it's not really my thoughts, they're just thoughts that are coming up, seem to be coming up inside here.
So here, your emotion, thoughts comes naturally.
It comes naturally the same way like a horn. So it's the ownership that we kind of try to own our thoughts and emotions that is the problem.
We take to control our emotion, though we take the role of some administrator.
Yeah, exactly. They take it personally.
If the I sense is just another expression, there's also awareness of appearances and disappearances. Do we conclude that we are the witnessing consciousness, but we can never experience this witnessing consciousness?
So the other day also we had expressed, actually when I touch the fire, we can feel the hot
Yeah.
When I touch the ice water, we feel the cold. So, is it the sensation of the fire or is it the sensation of the hand? So it is the sensation of the hand. That alone we can know, we can feel. We cannot feel the fire, we cannot feel the ice water. But we can feel the sensation of the hand. So for the sensation of the hand, the fire may give some contribution. The ice water may give some contribution. But what we feel is only the sensation of the hand. So if anybody asks you, what is the quality of the hand? Will you say it is hot or will you say it is cold? So sometimes it is hot, sometimes it is cold, but it is neither of them. It is so beyond the sensation of hot and cold, some neutral point is there. That is the sensitiveness. The sensitivity of the hand is the real state of our hand. But the sensitivity is neither cold nor hot. It is beyond both. But the sensitivity itself, at one time it expressed in the form of hot, in the another time it expressed in the form of cold. So nobody can feel the sensitivity itself. But the expression of the sensitivity that we can feel. So in this way, if you ask what is the difference between the consciousness and matter, if anybody says which one is real, so what is the difference between the consciousness and matter? For example, this is a matter, and the matter cannot feel itself. If we can see it or we can touch it, then we can feel. But the cell phone itself cannot feel it. So that what cannot feel itself is known as the matter. But at the same time,
The wound.
I have a
Big
wound.
one. Yeah.
And we need not understand, we can feel the wound by touching the wound. The wound itself will reveal itself. So the very sensitivity itself reveals itself. It expresses itself. So the knowing and the expression is same in the consciousness itself. So, but at the same time, the real sensitivity is the real consciousness. But what we feel is only the expression of the real consciousness. The real consciousness is known as awareness. But the expression, all the expression is known as consciousness. Both are same. But the awareness nobody can feel. But the awareness alone expressed in the form of the sensation through wound, or we, for example, if we taste something, sometimes we feel bitter, sometimes we feel sweet. All are the expression. The expression are known as consciousness. But beyond that, the sensitivity of the tongue itself is awareness. The awareness no one can feel. But the awareness expressed in the form of consciousness. Sometimes it expressed in the form of sweetness, sometimes bitter, some wound is pain, pleasure, anything in the form of consciousness. So in this way, if you have some thought, can I feel me? Can I feel it? You yourself has to feel. I cannot feel. When I cannot touch your thought, you yourself has to feel. So the thought itself has a feeling. The thought itself has a consciousness. So then only we are conscious of our thought. We cannot touch whether you are thinking or not. I cannot touch through my hand and find out, oh, he is thinking like this. I cannot touch and I cannot feel. So you yourself has to feel. So each and every thought is having some consciousness. Then only we know we are having thought. So in that one of the thought, the I am is also there. I am is also a kind of thought, but it is also having some conscious expression. Then only it is having some living nature. So each and every moment we having some feeling of I consciousness, it has some reality. So because behind that, the consciousness is there. So the awareness contributes to be the consciousness of I am. So we feel the I am is real. Even though it is only a thought, we feel it is real. Because all thoughts are real, all emotions are real, and only because of the contribution of the awareness. But here, the awareness alone can be considered as the witnessing consciousness. But it will not have any special attachment to anything. It is a common to everything. It will not, this is good thing, I will support my awareness to this feeling, and I will not support this feeling, the awareness will not take a stand. So as it is neutral, we can say it is witnessing consciousness. Actually it is beyond all consciousness. It is the basic of our consciousness, and it is awareness itself. The real awareness alone can be considered as the witness.
Thank you. That's good.
Witness is only an effort done by the mind.
Oh, here. So witnessing is just a reference. We have to give some name to the awareness. Then only we are using the word witness. For example, when somebody is fighting with each other, and you are witnessing that. So the fighters may have some problem with themselves. The one want to hit the other person, the other want to hit the other person. So they have some involvement. They are party to the problem, but you are not the party to the problem. So then only, as you are not the party to the problem, then only your role has to be taken as the witness. So you are not party. So you are just witnessing the happening of the other person. The other person has some involvement in the issue, in the transaction. The one wants to hit the other person, the other wants to hit the other person. They have some issues, but you don't have any issues. As you don't have any issues, the person who don't have any issues related to any occurrence, he alone can be considered as witness. So here, the awareness has no personal relationship with anything. It is common to everything. It is common to all conscious expression. So it is common, as it is common to each and everything. So then only it can be considered as the witness. It is not a party to anything. If you are a party to anything, you will have a special attachment to somebody. So if you are interested upon somebody, when somebody is fighting, when you are interested upon some person, then you cannot be considered as a witness. So you must be neutral, then only you can be considered as a witness.
Play in any
There is no special role. Or if it is a good situation, I will give more support. If it is a bad situation, I will withdraw my support. The awareness will not do like that. It is common to all. Common to all emotions, common to all expressions.
He was telling, he was raising a point, a beautiful point, that it is the external situation which brings the particular reaction or emotion within us. We don't consciously bring about such emotional reaction. It is a given situation which brings the reaction or emotion. Is that the way it functions here, or do we consciously try to bring some reaction about it?
So we need not. Each and every situation naturally will have some reaction. The reaction will be natural. But we are dealing with the emotions. We are not necessarily dealing with the emotion. We have to deal with the situation, but we are dealing with the emotion itself. There is no necessity to deal with the emotion. And in one case, one has given some other person has to have some due to him, and for example, somebody has to give this person the person A use instead, for instance, the person A, B, A and B, the B has to give A some $10,000. B has to give A $10,000. For that, B has easily given a check for the $10,000. And the A put the check into for collection in the bank. And the check bounced. No money in the account of B, so the check bounced. So immediately he got anger upon B. The A got anger upon the B. So the situation is that when he gave a check and the check bounced, immediately he got anger. So that is the first situation. The first situation creates first situation is the bouncing anger, bouncing the check. On seeing the bounce of check, immediately we have got anger. That is the first situation. The next situation is that he has to collect the amount from the B. So if he use the anger to the second situation, it may be good or bad. It may say something, so it may be correctly or wrongly. We cannot decide. Sometimes it may be correct, sometimes it may be wrong. But the main thing is that the situation we have to get the money. He has to give $10,000 and giving check and check bounce. So what is our next option is to, in some way or other, we have to collect the amount from B. So the second situation is to collect the amount from the B. So if you forgot the first situation and take the second situation as a fresh situation and disregarding the anger in the first situation, and if you take the next situation as afresh, then only some relevant reaction we can have. So instead of showing anger, you may smile upon him, may give some jokes upon him, you can make some convenient words to him to convince the B, so that you can collect the amount. So the second situation will give you a chance to create some new kind of emotion. So we have to give chance to the situation to create a new emotion. But we are using the old emotion to the second situation. So if you, because the matter is that we have to successfully deal with the situation. We need not do anything with the emotion. But instead of that, in the first situation we have got anger. So if you use the anger to the second situation, you may bring a fight between you, the A and B, and the situation may be worse. So if you do not fight with him, he may, some way or other, he may settle the due. But if you fight with the other person, he may simply say, you go to the court and we can meet in the court. So the matter will not be solved properly. So each and every situation, you have to take it as a new situation. We should not connect with the emotion created by the first situation to the second situation. When you free from the first situation and first emotion, and if you look into every situation as afresh, so you can give you a chance to have the appearance of new emotion, and then only you can meet the situation in the correct way.
So we will not be burdened by the emotions of the previous situation.
Yeah.
So then only we can look afresh and deal with the situation effectively.
So here, the main thing is that whether the emotion comes appropriate or not, and whether you can use or not to the next situation, then you have some patience of some
Patience.
patience. Have some patience. Patience instead of patience, some other appropriate way. Some steadiness or
Calmness.
Some calmness or some steadiness. Some steadiness. Then only you can have some. If suddenly and abruptly express the emotion, you'll have some gap. Before applying any emotion to the situation, you must have some gap. Then only we can properly use any emotion. So you must have some gap. So this gap is that we can easily have. If you are enlightened, liberated, the liberated person will have the gap. So emotion, all emotion express itself into action. But naturally, the liberated and enlightened person will have the gap very easily. It is possible for him. Very easily he can handle the situation. He will not he will not immediately use the situation. He will immediately use his emotion very quickly. He will have some steady mind.
That hasty decision or action will not happen.
Hasty action will not happen.
In the case of enlightenment.
I was wondering about people who have, in relation to the external world, hold a kind of view about what needs to be done. Like their character can be a perfectionist or a very ambitious or something which need to attain in the external world, but it's kind of an endless. Because this is their view on how can someone have real rest inside in this situation, because it's kind of a thing that, again, it's a view related to the external world, and we said that in the external world we have to do, but it seems like this view will never give you a real rest.
So when you want to have as economical satisfaction, you maybe look endlessly. You mean like that?
Someone who is, let's say, perfectionist, and whatever he do, he thinks can be better. It always can be better. Or whatever he achieve, he thinks a little bit more. There's endless something in the external world that he thinks it can always be better than that.
So, even though it may be like that, don't mind that. But psychologically, if you are free, the external work is not a problem. Even though you may expect some better position or some growth in the external world, it doesn't matter. This psychological thing alone is the real problem. If you are psychologically free, the external is everything is very good. Even though your growth may be good for many people. You are not, whether you are grown up in the economical world or not. So your growth may be good to other people also. Doesn't matter. Your growth is not only for you. It may be helpful to other people also. So we need not worry about that. So in the economic, the world of society is concerned, what we are doing is only for our convenience. But we cannot, as you have earning more, thereby you cannot develop your convenience more and more. For example, even whether you are to have a car, you cannot drive a car at the same time. Wow. You may have several cars, but at any time you can drive a single car alone. So you can, as I have money, more money and more car, I will drive 2 cars at a time. It's not possible. So to the extent alone, the possible extent alone, you can make use of the economical source. But at the same time, when you have many cars, you will present only cars. So this is also possible. You can donate a car to this gentleman. So in this way it is also possible. He will be benefited. Out of your growth, he will be benefited. If you have more cars, all will be it is also possible. Psychologically, if you are all right, the physical thing does not matter. But at the same time, you will not behave in a foolish manner. Whatever appropriate, we have to do. In an intelligent way, we can do some work.
Other spiritual paths that exist and try in a way to make the person become better or become more pure. Or it can be in a way there might be no problem with it as long as you know that there's not you can do it for the benefit of others. It can be helpful to do that without that psychological tension or conflict that I need to become something. So it's something that can be useful in a way.
So it is only for the beginners. Beginners, you can make use of some going to temple worship, just like that. Doing service to others also give you some peace of mind within. That is only for the preliminary beginners. But afterwards, it is a good job. You're working for others, giving some relevant thing to the other people is a good one. Doesn't matter. But we need not connect with that psychological world. Psychologically, it is a illusory world. We need not we will not try to satisfy the psychological world. Psychological world must be put out. There should not be any correction. We should not be any good or bad in the psychological world. We have to upon the psychological world itself. Then the real world, that we have to do the best thing, do the possible good thing. And thereby we can, if you have the chance to do good to the other people, you may do good. So that is different. But we should not connect the thing to the psychological world. Psychological world is an illusory world. We have to simply put down the psychological world.
When I read Krishnamurti, he talks a lot about state of fearlessness and without fear. And I wonder if there is such a state. It really exists, because even the liberated state, we say, it's not a state of fearlessness. It's a state that fear just comes and goes, and we just don't have any. So just misunderstanding of this idea.
So we cannot correctly say. So because we are giving freedom to everything, whatever may come. But the main thing is that when something is freely flowing, it becomes powerless. But it may appear to be fear, but it is really, we cannot say it is fear. In this way, each and every moment, emotion will be like that. For example, the other day also we may use for example. You have a car, and when you start the car and you change the gear to the first gear, you put the first gear and move the car, and when the car takes momentum, you change the second gear and third gear, and after the finally fourth gear. So the car is very fast. Why we should not use the fourth gear straight away? So the first gear is a lower gear. When the car is in the standing position, it has more weight. So then you have to move away the car by the first gear. Then when it is slowly get the momentum, then the quality of the gear may be changed. When the car is very fast, it loses the entire weight. Then it is convenient for the fourth gear to use. So here, what is the difference between the standing position of a car and the running position is different. In the standing position, whether it is running or standing, both are cars. But in the standing position, it has more weight. but in the running position it loses weight. So in this way, when we do not struggle with any emotion, and we freely allow it to go, it will loses the weight. Then we cannot be considered as the original is in the original state. It may be look fear, but it is not fear. So in this way, anger, whatever may be the emotion, it may looks like emotion, but really it is not so. Some quality change may be there. So that is a real possibility. But there is no state of fear, that is not possible. Fear may be there, but the quality may change.
Is it because we don't have the thought that says this is fear? I mean, only the thought that says this is fear makes it...
Not like that. The resistance alone gives us strength. If you resist something, I want to be free from fear or anything, or I want to catch something, then only we are struggling with that. And thereby we are giving strength to that. And moreover, whatever may be, every emotions are good, then only we can deal with the situation. If you know emotion is there, we cannot deal with the situation. Sometimes fear may be good, anger may be good to deal with the situation. Otherwise we cannot deal with the situation. To the extent of dealing with the situation, we can have some emotion. That is not bad. But in the emotion itself, it is neither good nor bad. It has to come and go naturally. Sometimes it may be irrelevant to the situation, then we need not worry about the emotions itself. If you do not mind the emotions, it will go away naturally.
It is the struggle within ourselves which gives strength and weight to the emotions.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they simply lose their weight.
Without any problem, we are calm and quiet. But at the same time, if anybody comes and close the door outside, immediately we will become, we want to be come away, get away from the house. So, if anybody is restricted, we get some energy. So if you do not have any restriction, you will be free. So the same thing is happened to the emotions also. If you are restrict your emotion, it acquires some strength. If you don't mind the emotion, if you give total freedom to that, it will blossom and disappears. It happens to the emotions also. Develop the understanding. Understanding is every time it is the same. But if we keep the understanding without disturbing the other facts, other school of thought, other thing, if you disturb the understanding, you will be disturbed. So we have to keep the understanding without any disturbance.
That almost sounds like something we have to do, which is paradoxical in a way. Because by trying to do it, trying to keep the understanding, we're already creating conflict.
But here, the trying to do happens when we want something psychologically. But here, nothing is right or wrong. When nothing is right or wrong in the psychological world, and we understand like this, then there is. But whatever comes, for example, whenever we have some fear or sorrow, naturally we will have some resistance in ourselves. But unconsciously it happens like this, we need not worry about that. But we are not consciously doing that, because to understand nothing is wrong within ourselves. Whatever happens within our mind, it is just like an image, some illusion. We need not worry about that. If you are consciously understand like this, you won't resist you consciously.
So there has to be a carelessness.
But unconsciously it doesn't matter. If you start fighting with yourself unconsciously, it doesn't matter. But the very moment you're fighting, you will come to your consciousness that I'm unnecessarily fighting with myself. The moment you understand, you will be free from the unconscious fighting. But we don't protect ourselves. You need not safeguard yourself from unconscious fighting. That is not necessary. I must be always alert. I should not fight unconsciously. You need not keep yourself alert always.
Is this related to some scars that keeps arising and the moment this understanding basically happened and they just pop out without reoccurring again?
So whenever we face a situation, because we have decided no work is there, and you understand properly, and afterwards unconsciously you may take some work. The moment you take the work, you will instantly will have the consciousness that we are unnecessarily taking the work in our hand. The moment you take the work, the next instantly you will have the understanding. The understanding will come to your account. The no work is needed. We are using some analogy for this. For example, you are living in a rented house for 10 years or 12 years. In a rented house for several years. And you are going everywhere from that house, from the morning, evening, every time you are going from the house and returning to the house. This is going on for several years. And after 12 years, you shifted the house, you vacated the house and go to the new house placed in the next street. And one fine evening, when you return from your office, you take the bike and you are going to the old house as if you are living in the old house. Because you have the circle, you are having the habit of several years as you are reaching the house in the same way. So thinking something else, you are unconsciously going to the old house. So what will you do? What is the reason for that? Have you not understood that you have changed the house? You have understood. There is no problem in the understanding. You have correctly understood that you have changed the house. There is no disturbance. There is no problem in the understanding of the change of house. But in spite of that, your old memory unconsciously gives some way to reach the old house. But whenever you reach the old house, the moment you reach the old house, you will come to the consciousness that, oh, I saw it, I have mistakenly come here. And the very moment you feel your mistake, you will return to your the new house. But you won't, anyway, I have come to the old house, I got to live in the house today, you won't like this, you won't do like this. I will, as I have very long elapsed, a long period, I have returned to the old house. Today I am going to live in this old house. Because somebody else will be there. So we cannot be there. We cannot go enter into the house. If you ring the calling bell, somebody will come and ask you, who are you? You cannot enter.
So is this old habit that keep coming?
Habit may...
Yeah. So they're coming. So either a point that they stop, and is this what you call liberation, or it's not liberation?
The habit will not be a hindrance. You don't mind the habit. But the habit may be like that, let it be. And whenever you know it is not correct, then the next moment you will be free from that. So it not, but at the same time, the habit is not against your understanding. But at the same time, if you doubt the understanding, that will be the defect. But the habit is not a doubt. Unconscious happening. So unconsciously, if you have the old emotion or anything, old problem, you may think I did not fight with myself. But instead of your understanding, you fight with yourself unconsciously. Doesn't matter. So when you fight with yourself unconsciously, the very moment you are fighting, you will conscious of, oh, unnecessarily I am fighting with myself. Then the next moment you will be free from the fighting, conscious fighting.
To have a positive experience or to drive away a negative experience that causes conflict in the psychological world, and it is desire which motivates us and propels us to action in the real world. So could you please throw some light on this topic of desire and desirelessness?
So here we are desiring for some pleasure, happiness, then only you can do something in the external world. If you don't mind anything, then you won't work. Here we can desire for that. We can desire for a work to get some happiness. The happiness may be psychological, but at the same time, for that reason alone, we can do some work. Some psychological end, we may do some work. But it doesn't matter. But here something, the happening psychologically, some happiness may come or some worriness may come, whatever may come. But here the stand is that our concern must be in the external world. Our concern should not be in the world. But we may relate. This may, some good feeling may come, must come, some good happiness may come. We may relate. But the thing is that our look must be only to deal with the situation, but not to deal with the psychological one. So dealing with the psychological, we can make use of the psychological world or psychological images to deal with the situation. But at the same time, the main thing is that we have to deal with the situation alone. Dealing with the situation, for that we can make use of anything. We may expect good happiness, or we may avoid the sorrow, suffering, anything we can design like that. But the thing is that our concern must be only to deal with the situation, but it should not to deal with ourselves. But even though it looks dealing with the psychological world, when we work for happiness and want to avoid the unhappiness and happiness also, it looks that we are dealing with our psychological structure. But the main thing is that we have to deal with the situation. That is the main thing. So dealing with the psychological situation alone means when you, because many instances happens like this, and I must be free from that at any cost. If you think like that, and I have, but here in the psychological world, we have to accept whatever happens as a natural happening. Sometimes we may expect some happiness, but instead of happiness, unhappiness may come. Some unnecessary feeling, unnecessary emotion may come. So here, our concern should not be have to change the emotion itself. So we should not place any hand within ourselves. Because in the morning itself we have seen some example like a mirror. So in a mirror, for example, when we look upon a mirror and our image, we can comb our hair and shave ourselves. With the help of the mirror, we can do many things within ourselves. But at the same time, we should not shave the all the images in the mirror is just like a reflection. We should not correct the reflection itself. For example, some painting is there. You have beautiful scenery in the painting. In the painting, you may add something. For example, some scenery is there. We can write. We can draw a bird or some falls. Anything we can put. We can create a new drawing there. But in the if it is a mirror, we cannot correct. We need to put a bird or river there. It is very nice. Then it is very difficult. All it is illusion comes and goes. it must disappear. So it is a natural way for the images to disappear. We should not create we should not treat as a picture and we have to draw something and add to the images, add to the illusion. And there is no necessity to correct the illusion, correct the images. We can refer the images in relation to the external world. For that we can correct the external world. For that we can make use of that. But we need not correct the images itself.
Yeah. That means our focus needs to be only on the real world, external world. And if we do something in an effective manner in the external world, we may derive happiness out of that particular action. But our focus always needs to be on our actions, on the situation, not on what happens within or trying to change the emotions or any other psychological experience. So
here we may expect some happiness for our action, but it doesn't matter. But in response to the action, something may happen. Either happiness may come or some unnecessary may come. But we have to disregard the result. Whatever comes, whatever happens, we have to take it as a happening. We need not worry about that. We should not try to correct the happening. But you may try to correct the external thing to the possible extent. But at the same time, psychologically, we must be free. Some freedom, we have to give total freedom to the natural happening. When some bad or some good feeling may come, some bad feeling comes, we have to give total freedom to that. We have to take it as a natural happening. We should not question why this feeling has come to me. I should be free from all emotions. I must be keep myself in a calm state. Then only you are entering into the mirror and try to correct the images of the mirror. You need not enter.
Whether they are in the spiritual path or in the normal life journey. So everyone, especially in the current scenario where it's a very stressful lifestyle, everyone wants peace. So what is the way towards that?
So actually, we want success in the external world, and your success may give you some peace, but you are not actually. You are connecting the external thing to the psychological world. But externally, the main thing is that we have to have some successful result. That alone is but we are connecting it to the psychological world. But even though you are connecting it in that way also doesn't matter. But the main thing is that the psychology, because peace is purely psychological. But in the psychological world is concerned, we have to understand whatever comes in the psychological, we have to take it as a natural. And if you understand properly like this, then we can very easily manage it. Having some better knowledge how to deal with the situation. But the main thing is that what we are lacking is only how to deal with ourselves. That alone is the so if you understand how to deal with ourselves, then we can support the psychological factor and the external world in a better way. So the main thing is we have to understand. So here also no work is there. We are not unable to understand, no work is there. We think we have some work there. But we have to understand no work is there. And after understanding, in the psychological world, we have passed the test. The matter is over. You have passed the psychological world. Passed the test for the psychological world. And afterwards, we can, in the external world is concerned, more or less we are doing good thing. There is no problem in how to deal with the external world, external situation. Sometimes an ordinary person is so will be very talented. Comparing with an enlightened person, an ordinary person may be very talented to handle this situation. If you put an enlightened person in a situation, he may be a failure. But even an ordinary person may be a talented person. Very successfully, he must have deal with the situations. But here, the main thing is how to deal with you psychologically. That is the real and crucial matter. And in the crucial matter, if you pass, everything is passed. Can consider as passed. So in psychology world also, we are very much interested, as if we are doing many things in the external world, we apply the same rule in the psychological world. Oh, I have many work psychologically, I am having unwanted feelings, I want to be always with a good feeling, I must be always in peace, I should not have any negative feelings. So in this way, we are doing many things psychologically. That is the real part. So psychological way, we have to understand no work is there. So that alone is okay. Exercise. Externally work is there. We have to work, we have to attend work to the possible ability you have. But psychologically, whether you are having the capacity or not, what doesn't matter. So, no capacity is the best quality. If you don't have any capacity to deal with yourself, that can be considered as the best quality.
That means the best way to deal with oneself is not to deal with oneself.
That is the best way of dealing with yourself.
Our dealings are only with the external world.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But you have to accept this understanding wholeheartedly. That is the main thing.
Your experience, how you choose to what to do in the external world? Is it by preference? Because something I noticed for myself yesterday, suddenly a lot of things that I used to do during the day, and suddenly everything become this is meaningless. Why I do this? I really asked myself, okay, so what am I going to do? It was like, so I just went for a coffee, and because I just felt like, but it was really felt like okay, so what to do? And I know that exactly that question itself is there's nothing really to do, but how it works for you to live your life, by what force you choose what to do.
So you are slowly coming to the Indian mind. The Indian mind is like this. Nothing to do. Everything will be done by God. What's the good of having coffee, going dealing with the children and everything? Everything will be in the hand of God. This is the role of the Indian mind. So you are slowly take the Indian mind. But here, this thing is applied only to the psychological world. Psychological world must be free without any work. But physically, you must have some work. So you must have some understanding, you must have some conviction and idea that you have to do something. So this rule, externally, you must have some idea to do work. So in this here, no work is necessary, is not a good idea. So some work alone is necessary, then only the valve will function. Otherwise you are dismissing the valve itself.
Yes, so, but until now it was very clear what needs to be done. It was very clear, there wasn't a question, because I had some ideas about what I need to attain, and it naturally happened. And suddenly when there is nothing of this matter.
So even though it may be, if your psychological structure may think like that, you have to change your way. So no, you have to do something. You have to come to a conclusion that we have to do something in the external world. Even though you are not interested upon anything, you can give some interest to something. That is your duty. As you have the duty not to do anything psychologically, you must have the duty to do something external. You have, for yourself, consciously you have to create some work. But psychologically, work must be happen unconsciously. But here, you have to do something consciously.
But to follow on, if I may, sir, I've had a similar thing. I've stood in the street.
You are also becoming
But-
Indian.
What's happening? I stood in the street for about 10 minutes going, I don't know what to do now.
Whether I have to walk or not.
So where do you
What's the meaning of walking?
My work is in education, and I like working with kids and teachers. So is that where is that my motivation, or are there other motivations? Do they just come? Do motivations just come, or does a moment in the external world say this needs to be done, and is that the sort of the dharma to meet the moment?
But here, in this Tirunamale, you have no work. But
Yeah.
in your country, if you go there, your work will be waiting for you.
Yeah.
But here, no work is there.
Uh-huh.
Just going along with the things, it is enough. But here, the main thing is that psychologically, no work, that alone is enough. But physically, you may, to the possible extent, you may have the routine work. As we have some work going here and there, morning walk or evening walk or go to some pradarshan or anything, you can go along with that and you can enjoy the work.
Yeah.
You can attach some enjoyment with the work. You should not find yourself without any work.
I feel that we should be an Indian in the psychological world and then the Westerner in the real world.
You must be always as the Westerner.
Westerner. That completes the cycle. Words of you very helpful, that whenever you feel, whenever you understand that something is important in the external world, you automatically get the desired emotion and the energy to do it. Could you please say something?
That is the normal case. But in some case, no energy, no interest may be there. As no work is there, because here no work is there, no special work here. You are just coming here. For here, you may attach some interest with the work.
Okay.
So, for example, you can enjoy the walking, you can enjoy the progression or anything without any reason. You can attach some interest to that. With some interest, with some attention, with some involvement, you can do so. Because you have no work psychologically, so you are free to do the external work. So you are with a free mind, you can take the work.
Can you say, usually, as you say, when you want to attend to something in the external world, naturally all these forces come to your help and helps you to achieve what you need. But in case it doesn't happen, and can you say, okay, maybe it's
But here, going for a walk is not an achievement.
No.
It is not a problem.
Yeah,
So for some problem or for some in your country, you may do some work. So for some material benefit or anything, you have to do something. For that, your emotion sufficient, some appropriate emotion will come for the help of the executing the duty. For example, as you have no work in the here, you may in the morning you may not in a position to wake up very early in the morning. But when you are in your country, many work are waiting for you. So thinking of the work, naturally you will be interested to work, wake up in the very early morning. So it activates some emotion to wake up you. So that happens with related to the, so no work is there, no emotion will be there to wake you up in the morning. Yes, we can see in the next day, we can enjoy the sleep some more hour, you can think like that. So here in the, if some urgent work is waiting, you can be, but in the same way, if no work is there, if it getting very late in the night and no work is there, then some sleep will come very soon, come to you very soon. But some pressure of work is there and you have to finish the work as early as possible. Then the pressure will give you some energy, thereby you cannot sleep very.
Yeah, but exactly in these cases where there is a lot of work to be done, but from some reason the internal doesn't support it. Even your body may be sick at that time, and you still have work to be done. And then, in a sense, a conflict arises. I need to do this because I need to attend it, but like the condition does not allow me, either internally or physically.
So physical ill health that is a different. That is that can be considered as a situation itself. But psychological support is different. Psychologically, you will have some seriousness. Whether you have some seriousness or not is related to psychological.
Tiredness, for example, tiredness. You consider it as physical?
So tiredness also, the work is very important and urgent. You will not mind the tiredness itself because of your seriousness, you won't be tired. Even though otherwise in the ordinary time within the work is not seriousness, it is not a serious work. Some little amount of work will give you more tiredness. But the work is very urgent, very serious, then your seriousness will not make you tiredness. So it will give you some energy and thereby it will not be very easy to get tiredness.
I find it true for some types of work. If I go really with what I love to do and with my passion, and if this is the type of work that I need to do, then definitely I can see how it happens. But if I just need to do the laundry, I don't know if the same approach, I don't feel, it doesn't feel the same.
So even when you love some work, the love will not exist for a very long time. Soon you will get accustomed with your love work. Sometimes it will be, even though you are loving some work and you have some involvement to that, but you will feel very soon everything, the attachment, the relationship will go away. But here, the free mind means, you must be free from the distraction. The freeing from the distraction allows the real involvement, not with the attachment, not with the attraction. Attraction is not necessary. We have to be free from the distraction. That alone is the main thing. When you free from the distraction, so your work will be natural. But at the same time, if you are attached to the work, I am loving this work, the love will go away very soon. The first instance it may look very nice, as I love the work and it is very nice. and for time being it will be all right. But if it is time passes away, the love will go away very soon from you.
And you don't say that it's good to pursue. For example, if I love to do music, then I go and do some music because this. And after some time, maybe I don't feel like doing music and I like to paint, so I do some paint. You don't say like.
So here, distraction means we may have some other wandering thought or anything. You may involve that. For example, when you do some work, some wandering thought may be there to take you somewhere else. So in this way, that is known as the distraction. So the free from distraction is enough. Not to have some attraction to the work is not necessary. Freeing from distraction alone is enough to do any work. So it will give you some energy to that. So naturally we will have some, even though you are interested upon some work, very soon you will find some relaxation from the interest itself. The interaction will lose the grip. For the beginning it will be have some grip. As you are interested in work, it will have some grip. But soon the grip will be loosened. But at the same time, if you some distraction, if you are free from the distraction, that means you are not go away from the work. So the work is natural. But the natural thing is to have some distraction.
Yeah, you mean to say that if the intellect understands clearly that this work is very important, then automatically the other distractions don't come into the picture.
No.
So it is the intellect which plays a very crucial role when it comes to action. It is the decision of the intellect. Is that right?
Not only that, sometimes some unnecessary thing may claims to be important, but that is a distraction. Some unnecessary may claims to be I am important, I have to you show your attention here. It may claims like that. So we have to dismiss the other distraction. So the work is good, it is an important one, and we need not, we can, I will attend you later, you can, you can say I will attend you later, I have no work to attend now, and you have to dismiss it, some way or other you have to dismiss this distraction. Then only you can go along with the work.
So the attraction might fade away. Initially there might be a lot of attraction, a lot of interest, but it might fade away.
Yeah.
But if the intellect clearly understands that this is important, this is what I need to do, then we can sustain that work.
Well, you are having some work, some tiredness, so if that's able to have some relaxation, you may go for a music or something. But that is that also can be taken only for a relief to some stress or anything, to as a change of situation, change of doing something. But if anybody asks you to have the music from the morning till night, it will be again your work. So as a hobby you can have such. For short time you can have a hobby, some relaxation like this. That is different.
Yeah, even for some people do from music, it's their profession, and there's something they love. And this is something that I think for myself, when I choose the profession that I do, it seems important to me that it will be something that I love. Of course, if I see that it is not important, then it has to be a factor of the intellect to decide what I need to do. But the fact that I do love it, I have passion for it, is a great deal of importance also. But it loses its significance from what I hear.
But even if it is like that, sometimes if you have some work, if you take it as a profession to teach music or anything, from the beginning, it will be very nice. But in course it will take course of time, it may be feel some tiredness out of that. But at the same time, if you will have some creative intelligence to have some more development in the music, then it will have a new work, because you will have attach some intelligence there also. Not apart from the work, you will attach some intelligence in that work. So you will have the work as a creative work. So in that way, it will have some work. So if you attach some intelligence to this manner, even music is not necessary. Any work, if you create some intelligence there and do to the whatever is needed, it will have some energy for yourself.
People who are professional musicians, either classical or western, they might have an orchestra of their own. They might give concerts in their country or travel throughout the world. So how does that work for them? How are they able to maintain their passion? How are they able to perform in an excellent manner? How does that work in that case?
So somebody has some involvement by anything, if you express it in a limited period, then it will be all right. So from the morning till evening, if you do the same work, you will feel some tiredness. So then he want to be free from the work itself. It will be like that. So for a limited period and create some enjoyment to the other people, and he enjoys the enjoyment of the other people, then everything contributes. Thereby he can have the quality of development or anything will be possible. Otherwise it will be a tired work for morning till night. If you do the same work, even though it is an interested work, if you do the work again and again in the same way, in the same situation, it may give some tiredness.
So such programs generally last for say 3 to 4 hours, like any concert for that matter. Like it's only for a limited period. So they will be able to have that motivation and energy to do it. But if it is for 8 hours or 9 hours, nobody can sustain such an energy.
But if you, instead of that, if you do any work, some tiredness of it, in the middle of the many work, if you have some music and other thing, it will be a enjoyment, and it will have some relaxation, it will give you some energy boost. It will be like that. But if it is a professional, it will create some tiredness.
A lot of masters and enlightened people say the world is perfect as it is. There's no need to change anything. I don't understand that.
World is perfect?
It's perfect, yeah. Everything is as it should be. Do you have a view on that?
So, for example, you park your car or vehicle in front of your house. When in the next morning you enter a house, the vehicle is not there, somebody has stolen away. Or you say the world is correct, perfect, the world is perfect. So there are many chaos and confusion in this world.
Yeah.
We cannot say it is perfect.
Yeah.
We have to change, we have to make it into order. Then only the laws and regulations are necessary. So we have to, psychologically, we have to take it as we should not find any fault with the psychological world.
Yeah.
Psychological world alone, we have to take it as a natural one. Physically, we have to find fault with the situation. Then only you can have the source to make it all right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The same example you mentioned in one of our conversations, that when the vehicle is stolen, you should not take it as an act of God, but rather as an act of a thief. Then only you will be able to take some action about it. So if you take it as an act of God, then you will not do anything to retrieve that bike.
But psychologically, you can treat everything as an act of God. Nothing is in our hand. Either you can say, psychologically, whatever happens is the action of God.
Yeah.
There is
Surrender.
no problem. You can, psychologically it is okay, it is right. But physically it is not so. Physically we have to take it otherwise. Everything is done by human beings or circumstances. We have to make some order in the society and the situation.
But doesn't it bring to blaming the other in a way, while seeing it in a different way of people are conditioned in a way and just things happening, makes much more forgiveness much more possible, like in the way I view it. Rather than if you see this human, no, it's a human being who is responsible for this action, and then there's a lot of blame and anger, much more than if you just say, okay, just happening, and there's more neutrality in a sense.
But here the society is concerned, we have to successfully deal with the situation. The success must be there. Either we have to you can use the law and order, or we can request somebody. Anyway, we have to have an order in the situation. For example, some lunatic person, we have to deal with some lunatic person. Sometimes we have to be rude with the lunatic person. Sometimes we may use soft words. Then only we can deal with him. So the society will be always like a lunatic person. Sometimes we have to be rude. Sometimes we have to be soft. Then only we have to be successfully deal with the situation. So then only it is good for everybody. It is not for ourselves. It is good for everybody. Then only the society will be correct. Everything will be normal. Everything will be easily adjustable. So it is the good for all, not for ourselves alone. So we have to make some order. For that we can, which one is something, some harsh word may be required, or some soft word may be required, some forgiveness may be required, or some harsh treatment may be required. So according to the circumstances has to decide. So in appropriate way we have to deal with the situation.